Knowledge is one of the most powerful tools a person can have. It gives us clarity, direction, and the ability to understand what is required to reach our goals. Yet, knowledge on its own has never been the factor that creates success. History is filled with brilliant minds who knew what to do but never acted, and their dreams faded into the background. The truth is simply knowing is not the same as doing, and doing is the only path that breathes life into dreams. Knowledge is one of the most powerful tools a person can have. It gives us clarity, direction, and the ability to understand what is required to reach our goals. Yet, knowledge on its own has never been the factor that creates success. History is filled with brilliant minds who knew what to do but never acted, and their dreams faded into the background. The truth is simple. Knowing is not the same as doing, and doing is the only path that breathes life into dreams. Imagine a person who wants to become physically fit. They read countless books about nutrition, watch videos about workout routines, and even create a detailed plan for their fitness journey. They know exactly what foods to eat, what exercises to perform, and what habits to develop. But if that person never sets foot in a gym, never prepares a healthy meal, and never sticks to the schedule, their body will never change. The knowledge sits in their mind, but it doesn't translate into results. This is the same reality in every area of life. Whether it's finances, relationships, or personal growth, knowledge must be paired with action to create transformation. Dreams, by nature, are fragile. They start as sparks of inspiration, full of energy and hope, but without consistent effort, that spark dies out. Knowledge alone cannot keep the spark alive. It's like having the ingredients for a meal, but never cooking. Eventually, the ingredients spoil, and the meal is never enjoyed. In the same way, if we do not take the steps to act on what we know, the dream rots in our mind, turning into regret. Many people mistakenly believe that once they know enough, success will follow automatically. They attend seminars, listen to motivational talks, and collect information, but still fail to take the leap. This creates what is often called analysis paralysis, the trap of overthinking, planning endlessly, and waiting for the perfect time. But the perfect time never comes. Those who succeed understand that action, even imperfect action, creates momentum. Knowledge without action is like potential energy that never gets released. It exists, but it does not move anything. Consider the difference between a student who studies for an exam and one who only talks about studying. Both may know the syllabus, but only the one who puts in the hours of practice and revision will succeed. The same is true in entrepreneurship. Thousands of people dream of starting businesses. They study business models, read about marketing, and imagine the lifestyle they want. But only those who take the risk of starting, who work through challenges, and who act every day see their dream come to life. The rest continue to live in the shadow of what could have been. Dreams die without action because action is the lifeblood of progress. Without it, time slips away, opportunities pass, and confidence weakens. Each day that passes without action widens the gap between what we know and what we achieve. Slowly, the dream begins to feel unreachable, and eventually, many give up altogether. But when action is taken, even in small steps, the dream remains alive and grows stronger. The message here is clear. If you want to keep your dreams alive, don't stop at knowledge. Apply what you learn immediately. Test it, practice it, and refine it through experience. Let your actions be the proof of your knowledge. Because knowledge alone can give you direction, but only action can take you there. In the end, dreams don't vanish because people don't know enough. They vanish because people don't do enough. When people fail to act on what they know, it isn't usually because they lack intelligence or resources. More often, it's because the space between knowing and doing is crowded with invisible obstacles. These obstacles are not physical chains but mental barriers, fear, excuses, and procrastination. They appear small at first, but together they become powerful enough to stop even the most ambitious dreams from moving forward. Let's begin with fear. Fear is perhaps the strongest force that keeps people trapped in inaction. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. These emotions convince us to stay safe, even when safety means giving up on growth. You might know exactly what you need to do to reach your dream, but the moment you imagine what could go wrong, fear steps in. It whispers, "What if you fail? What if people laugh at you? What if you lose what you already have?" Instead of taking a bold step, fear persuades you to stay where you are. But the truth is, failure is not the enemy. Inaction is. Every failure teaches something valuable, but doing nothing teaches nothing at all. Next comes excuses. Excuses are comforting lies we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility. They sound logical. I don't have enough time. I'll start when I have more money. Or, I'm waiting for the right opportunity. On the surface, excuses feel protective, but in reality, they are dangerous. Excuses give us permission to delay indefinitely. They allow us to feel justified in our inaction, but deep down, they steal our confidence. The longer we live by excuses, the more we start to believe that our dreams are impossible. In truth, most people don't lack resources, they lack resourcefulness. The right time and conditions rarely arrive. Success comes to those who create opportunities rather than wait for them. Then there is procrastination, the silent dream killer. Unlike fear or excuses, procrastination doesn't always look threatening. It disguises itself as harmless delays. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. Or, I'll finish when I feel ready. But procrastination piles up day by day until weeks turn into years. Many people don't realize that procrastination is a form of self-sabotage. It tricks the mind into thinking we still have time when, in reality, every delay steals momentum and weakens commitment. The most successful individuals don't wait until they feel ready. They start anyway, and the act of starting creates readiness. Together, fear, excuses, and procrastination form a dangerous trio. They widen the gap between knowing and doing until the dream is lost. Think about how many ideas have died because of them. How many books were never written, businesses never launched, or talents never developed? Not because the dreamer didn't know what to do, but because they allowed these obstacles to control them. Knowledge alone cannot defeat these barriers. Only deliberate action can. The good news is, once you recognize this pattern, you can fight it. Fear loses its grip when you take even a small step forward. Excuses disappear when you accept responsibility and commit to progress, no matter the conditions. Procrastination weakens when you focus on doing something now, not later. By confronting these barriers directly, the gap between knowing and doing begins to shrink, and your dreams come within reach. The message is simple: fear, excuses, and procrastination are illusions that thrive in the absence of action. The moment you act, they begin to lose their power. If you want to keep your dreams alive, don't just know what to do, start doing it. Each small step forward is a victory against the forces that steal dreams. Ideas are the seeds of every achievement. Every invention, every business, every masterpiece began as a simple thought in someone's mind. But here lies the great misunderstanding: an idea, no matter how brilliant, is powerless unless it is acted upon. Without execution, ideas are nothing more than daydreams, floating in the mind, but never shaping reality. Think of it like this: having an idea is like owning a seed. A seed has all the potential to become a tree, to provide shade, fruit, and oxygen. But unless you plant it, water it, and care for it, the seed remains just that, a small, lifeless object with wasted potential. The same is true of ideas. Without steps of execution, their value is never realized, and their promise is never fulfilled. Many people believe that ideas alone are enough. They get excited by inspiration and spend hours imagining the success that could come from their vision. But they stop there. They don't take the first step to build, test, or practice. Over time, the excitement fades and the idea is abandoned. That's why the world is filled with almost stories. People who almost started a business, almost wrote a book, almost pursued a dream. Ideas without execution create regret, not results. Execution is what transforms imagination into innovation. For example, think about the technology we use daily: smartphones, the internet, or even electricity. None of these were magical breakthroughs that appeared on their own. They were ideas in someone's mind, but they only became real because someone worked tirelessly to execute them. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb by thinking about it. He experimented, failed thousands of times, and adjusted his methods until his idea became a reality. His idea had value only because he transformed it into action. Another important truth is that execution doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Many people get stuck waiting for the perfect plan before they act. They polish their idea endlessly, hoping to eliminate every flaw before starting. But in doing so, they miss the most critical truth. Execution teaches you what no idea ever can. By acting, you gain feedback, learn lessons, and discover better ways to move forward. Ideas may be perfect in your head, but the real world will always test them differently. Only execution reveals what truly works. Consider the difference between two entrepreneurs. One spends years crafting a flawless business plan, constantly refining the idea, but never launching. The other launches a simple version of the idea, makes mistakes, and adapts along the way. In the end, the second entrepreneur succeeds because execution provides real-world learning, while the first is left with nothing more than a folder of plans. Ideas are abundant, but executed ideas are rare. That's why the marketplace doesn't reward dreamers. It rewards doers. The value of an idea is multiplied 100 times when paired with consistent action. Even small steps matter. Writing 1 page a day turns into a book. Saving a small amount every month grows into financial freedom. Practicing a skill for just 20 minutes a day can lead to mastery over time. Execution is not about giant leaps, it's about consistent steps that bring an idea to life. In the end, ideas by themselves hold no power. The true power lies in execution. The courage to take the first step, the discipline to keep going, and the resilience to learn from failure. Execution is the bridge between dreaming and achieving. If you want your ideas to matter, you must transform them into steps of action. Otherwise, they remain powerless thoughts that vanish with time. When we look at people who achieve extraordinary success, it's tempting to assume they reached greatness because they knew more than everyone else. We imagine they had access to secret knowledge, rare wisdom, or extraordinary intelligence. But when we study their lives closely, we discover something surprising. It wasn't just knowledge that set them apart, it was action. They didn't simply know, they applied. They didn't just learn, they executed. Successful people are not the ones who know the most, but the ones who do the most with what they know. Knowledge is important, but it is potential power, not real power. For example, millions of people know the importance of saving money and investing wisely. Financial books, videos, and advisors are everywhere, teaching the principles of wealth creation. Yet, only a small percentage of people actually apply these principles consistently. The difference between someone who struggles financially and someone who builds wealth is rarely knowledge, it is execution. The wealthy person takes small, steady actions, saving, investing, and managing wisely. The struggling person knows what to do, but doesn't follow through. Let's take another example: health. Almost everyone knows the basics: exercise regularly, eat nutritious food, sleep well, and manage stress. Yet, despite this common knowledge, obesity and health problems are widespread. Why? Because most people stop at knowing. The successful ones in health are those who take what they know and act on it, consistently making choices that support their well-being. The same principle applies in careers and personal growth. Many employees know how to improve their performance, but few actually go beyond the bare minimum. Meanwhile, the ones who rise in their careers are those who take initiative, apply their skills, and seek out opportunities to learn by doing. Knowledge without action is wasted potential. Action turns potential into progress. Successful people have mastered the art of bridging the gap between knowledge and execution. They understand that having the answers is not enough. What matters is how they use those answers to create results. They don't wait for conditions to be perfect. They act, learn, and refine along the way. They are willing to make mistakes because they know mistakes are part of the learning process. One of the greatest examples of this principle is Steve Jobs. He was not the only person who understood technology. Thousands of engineers and innovators had knowledge about computers and design. But Jobs acted differently. He applied that knowledge with boldness and vision. He turned ideas into products, products into companies, and companies into revolutions. His success came not from knowing more than everyone else, but from doing more with what he knew. This is why some people with fewer resources, less formal education, or fewer advantages still rise above others. They may not know as much, but they act on what they know with determination. They make use of every lesson, every bit of advice, and every opportunity. On the other hand, there are people with endless knowledge, degrees, and skills who remain stuck because they never put that knowledge into consistent action. The lesson here is clear: success rewards action, not just intelligence. If you want to achieve your dreams, stop asking, "Do I know enough?" and start asking, "Am I doing enough with what I already know?" Even if your knowledge is small, applying it with consistency will put you ahead of those who know much but do little. In the end, knowledge opens the door, but action is what walks you through it. Successful people understand that execution beats theory, practice beats intention, and doing beats knowing every single time. One of the biggest reasons people fail to achieve their dreams is that they wait for the perfect moment. They want the perfect plan, the perfect resources, the perfect level of confidence before they take action. But the hard truth is this: perfection never arrives. Waiting for everything to line up flawlessly is the same as waiting forever. That is why imperfect action will always be better than perfect hesitation. Imperfect action is powerful because it creates momentum. When you start, even with flaws, you set something in motion. Momentum leads to learning, growth, and improvement. On the other hand, hesitation keeps you stuck in the same place. You may think you are avoiding mistakes, but in reality, you are avoiding progress. A clumsy first step forward is more valuable than standing still for years, waiting to feel ready. Think of a child learning to walk. If a child waited until they could walk perfectly, they would never take a step. They fall, stumble, and trip countless times, but each attempt strengthens their muscles and improves their balance. Eventually, those imperfect steps lead to confident walking. Adults, however, often forget this lesson. They want to launch a business without risks, start a project without flaws, or speak in public without mistakes. But growth doesn't work that way. Perfection is not the starting point. It is the result of continuous action. History is filled with examples of people who began imperfectly but changed the world. Thomas Edison didn't create the light bulb on his first attempt. He failed thousands of times before finding the right formula. If he had hesitated, waiting for the perfect design before starting, the light bulb might never have been invented. Similarly, writers, musicians, and artists rarely create their masterpieces in their first attempt. Their early work is often rough and imperfect, but because they acted, they improved and refined their craft. The danger of perfect hesitation is that it disguises itself as preparation. People convince themselves that they're not avoiding action, they're just getting ready. They study more, plan more, and research endlessly. But often, this is procrastination wearing a mask. Preparation has value only if it leads to execution. Otherwise, it becomes an excuse to delay indefinitely. Imperfect action, on the other hand, builds courage. Every time you act, even when conditions are not ideal, you prove to yourself that you can move forward despite uncertainty. That proof builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come before action, it comes because of action. Those who hesitate, waiting for perfection, never build that confidence and remain trapped in doubt. Let's take a modern example: entrepreneurs who start small businesses. Many dream of creating the perfect product or service before launching. But successful entrepreneurs often launch with a simple version, sometimes called a minimum viable product. It's not perfect, but it's good enough to start. Through real-world feedback, they improve, adapt, and grow. Those who wait for perfection never launch at all, and their ideas remain buried. The same applies to personal goals. Want to get fit? Don't wait for the perfect gym membership, the perfect diet, or the perfect trainer. Start with a walk today, push-ups at home, or small dietary changes. Want to learn a skill? Don't wait until you have hours of free time or the best teacher. Start with 15 minutes a day, using whatever resources you have. Imperfect steps may not feel impressive, but over time they create transformation. The truth is, no one remembers your hesitation, but everyone notices your results. You don't need to be perfect to begin, you just need to begin. Progress is born from messy, imperfect, courageous action. Hesitation, no matter how perfect your plans seem, produces nothing. So if you're waiting for the perfect moment, stop. The perfect moment is now. Take that imperfect step, because every small, flawed action brings you closer to your dream, while hesitation only pushes it further away. In the end, imperfect action is not only better, it's the only path to perfection. Dreams are not achieved in a single giant leap. They are built step by step, brick by brick, through small, consistent actions that accumulate over time. Yet, many people overlook the power of small steps. They imagine success as a dramatic event, a sudden breakthrough, a stroke of luck, or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. In reality, success is the result of many small, deliberate actions taken every day. Each small step keeps your dream alive, while every delay silently pushes it further out of reach. Think about climbing a mountain. From the base, the peak looks distant and impossible to reach. If you only focus on the summit, you may feel overwhelmed and discouraged. But if you take one step at a time, day after day, eventually the peak comes closer. The key is movement, however small. Standing still, on the other hand, makes the mountain look even higher, and each moment of hesitation makes the climb harder. The same principle applies to your dreams. Consistent small steps bring them closer, while inaction pushes them farther away. Small steps are powerful because they build momentum. Action creates energy, and energy fuels progress. For example, if you dream of writing a book, you don't need to finish it in one sitting. Writing a single page a day will eventually fill a manuscript. If you want to master a skill, practicing for 20 minutes a day will, over months and years, lead to expertise. Each action may feel insignificant in the moment, but compounded over time. Small actions produce extraordinary results. The danger lies in delays. Delays often feel harmless. I'll start tomorrow. One day won't matter. Or, I'll do it later. But every delay weakens your commitment and builds a habit of postponement. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start, and the dream begins to fade into the background. Delay is not neutral, it is destructive. Every day you wait is a day stolen from your progress. Every excuse you make pushes your dream further into the realm of impossibility. Consider health once again as an example. If someone wants to lose weight or improve their fitness, walking for 20 minutes today may not seem like much, but doing it consistently keeps the dream alive. Skipping it, telling yourself you'll start next week, begins a pattern of delay that makes the dream harder to achieve. The same is true in finances, education, or relationships. Every small act of progress matters, and every delay costs more than we realize. Successful people understand the value of consistent small steps. They don't wait for motivation or perfect conditions. They focus on what they can do today. They know that each step, no matter how small, is a victory. Each action builds discipline, keeps the dream alive, and brings it closer to reality. Meanwhile, those who delay lose momentum, weaken their belief, and often give up altogether. One of the most inspiring truths is that small steps create habits, and habits create destinies. When you take small daily actions, they eventually become part of your routine. That routine becomes a lifestyle, and that lifestyle leads to results that once seemed impossible. But when you delay, you form the opposite habit, procrastination, avoidance, and inaction, which eventually turns into regret. The message here is clear. If you want your dream to survive, you must feed it with daily action. Even the smallest step counts. Make the call, write the page, take the walk, practice the skill. Don't underestimate the power of doing something today, because every small step forward is proof that your dream is alive, while every delay is a step toward letting it disappear. In the end, success is not about speed, it's about consistency. The dreamer who takes small, steady steps will always be closer to their goal than the one who waits for the perfect time. So choose progress over delay. Keep moving, even if slowly, because forward is forward. Every step counts, and every delay costs. Your dream depends on which you choose.